city. So the mere fact that we've grown such a major amount, the department heads have grown, the staff has grown, the offerings have grown, and the need for involvement from the residents has also grown.
I think Parks and Rec really showed up and did an amazing job. They had a bunch of staff people. They kind of brought us around, had different speakers. I think they take the prize for the best overall display.
Places that I didn't think I would enjoy as much, like I didn't think I'd enjoy Public Works as much as I did. I loved it. And it seemed to me that there were the more questions that were asked.
The Economic Development Council, I think that is just, again, it all points to live, work, and play within our community.
I think there's a lot of misunderstanding out there about really how these departments work, how the city really works. And I think by offering a class like this, you get such an exposure to so many different departments and meet so many different people, you can't help but want to be a part of it.
If you plan on living here and living amongst the community and understanding the growth and understanding what we need, definitely join the Northport University. You're going to be pleasantly surprised.
I would absolutely say do it, because you don't know until you know. And you can go online and you can read all these things, but a lot of it is the experience and sitting across from whether it's the chief of police, the chief of fire and rescue, utilities, all these, administration, all these departments are absolutely, you meet the leaders. You can look into their eye and ask pertinent questions that are important to you, so you understand of where they're at, where they're going, what are their constraints, and how we can be, as residents, try and give them the resources they need to provide the services that we're asking them to provide.
I'm more in love with Northport than I've ever been.
Good afternoon. Today is Thursday, December 11th, 2025. It is 1 p.m. We are in the city chambers, and I call the City Commission special meeting to order. Commissioners present are Commissioner Duval, Commissioner Stokes, Mayor Emmerich, Vice Mayor Langdon, and Commissioner Petro. There is a quorum present for this meeting. Also present are City Manager Fletcher, City Attorney Fuino, City Clerk Faust, Board Specialist Linder. We got Police Chief Garrison in the back, and I believe Mr. Titus is back there as well. I'm going to call on Ms. Faust. Would you please lead us in the pledge today?
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Request a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion on the floor to approve the agenda made by Commissioner Stokes and seconded by Vice Mayor Langdon.
Oh, great.
Yeah. Mr. Stokes, you did not vote according to this. Clear it and re-vote, please. Okay, that passes 5-0. City Clerk, public comment, please.
Sandy Cordo Passi. I support the agenda item to place the city manager on administrative leave 200%. This should have been done at the meeting of his review and raised when Commissioner Duval brought to light the matter of intimidation and harassment against himself by the city manager before the board over a month ago. Instead, his fellow 3 commissioners gave stellar reviews and a 5% increase in pay. Never a mention of concern for the outcry of their fellow commissioner. They were completely dismissive of the subject raised by Commissioner Duval. At the very least, there should have been some type of further inquiry into the claims, especially since this is not the first time a commissioner has experienced this type of behavior from the same city manager. Mr. Stokes, Mr. Emmerich, and Ms. Langdon, none of you would have liked to be in a position of having a photo of yourself spread throughout the city hall with derogatory comments on it. I am sure you all will have felt demeaned and embarrassed. It's time for accountability. Carmine Miranda. This meeting to consider placing Northport City Manager Jerome Fletcher on administrative leave raises serious concerns, not about the city manager's conduct, but about the motives behind the action. This effort appears rooted in retaliation for Mr. Fletcher enforcing the city charter versus two non-compliant commissioners who are catering to a small but loud faction aligned with termed-out Commissioner McDowell. Ms. McDowell has long opposed the city manager at every turn and is determined to see him removed at any cost, despite no credible evidence of wrongdoing. When Commissioner DeVal was first elected, I worried he would simply act as McDowell's puppet. To his credit, he spent much of the past year demonstrating independence and sound judgment. Unfortunately, over the last couple of months, his independence appears to have been eroded, giving the impression that this is now McDowell's unofficial third term. Commissioner Petro followed a similar path, initially showing promise and balance, but has recently appeared to fall under the influence of panto cars rather than exercising independent leadership. Commissioners are elected to represent all 96,000 plus residents of Northport, not a narrow group that consistently undermines city operations and staff. Commissioners are required by oath to follow the charter laws, which includes its provisions. And enforcing those rules should never be grounds for punishment. If accountability is truly the goal, the focus should not be on sidelining a city manager for enforcing the charter law, but on addressing the conduct of commissioners who are violating their oath, misrepresenting whom they serve, and fostering a hostile work environment for fellow commissioners, charter officers, and city staff. Ethics complaints, not administrative leave, should come first. City employee. After years of service to the city, I'm furious that we're being dragged into more conflict. We survived a former city manager who thought his sex life was more important than his job. We watched a commissioner whose public behavior towards our leaders looked like performance art. Eye rolls, dramatic gestures, sarcasm, all while claiming to care. We saw coworkers get smeared by people who think personal attacks qualify as civic engagement. We watched talented employees quit because of the nonstop negativity coming from a loud, bitter faction. At times, I was ashamed to admit I worked for the Northport. Mr. Fletcher has worked to bring pride and stability to the city. For the first time in ages, I could say I worked for Northport without feeling my stomach twist. He's the reason many of us stayed. That room full of employees on Tuesday, that was us showing respect for a man who has shown genuine leadership. Mr. Fletcher has not created a hostile work environment, but he has certainly endured hostility since his arrival. To our two new commissioners, you may have good intentions, but using phrases like just asking questions while challenging processes and implying we're doing things wrong might not technically be directing us, but it feels like it. That creates a hostile work environment. One says he's not being manipulated, but he's being cheered by the same crowd that spent years keeping us gridlocked where nothing gets done unless it serves their agenda. They don't want accountability, they want control. To the three commissioners who stood firm, thank you for being our voice. We've seen what the online mob does to employees who speak publicly, and we need help to keep our jobs. If Mr. Fletcher is pushed out, the mob wins. They'll choose the next target and continue hollowing out the city from the inside. What's left then? A city can't survive when its loudest voices are its most destructive, and it can't move forward if it keeps letting the same miserable people drag it backward. Jeremy Ansel. As a citizen of Northport for the last 9 years and observing the history of past city managers that came through City Hall, I believe that City Manager Jerome Fletcher, who I firmly believe is doing an excellent job as our city manager, he is a true leader in running the day-to-day operations of the city. I believe he has been nothing but transparent for all citizens and past commissioners and current commissioners. The negativity towards him is obviously a personal agenda item against him. The city has more important items to tackle than this daily drama. I support the hiring of Jerome Fletcher and urge all commissioners to have him continue working during the human resource investigation. It's more embarrassing that we have current city commissioners and a former city commissioner trying to control the narrative on social media and television news stations. Also, it's embarrassing that citizens and current commissioners are questioning legal opinions on the city charter and trying to undermine the city manager responsibilities and duties in the operations of the city. Wasn't former city manager Pete Lear's tenure enough to black eye for the city with the unethical behavior? I believe this is a waste of time and money for Northport to be even considering this investigation. Jerome Fletcher, you are a great person and have a wonderful family. Northport should be proud that we have an effective city manager who works hard every day as a leader for his staff and believes in following city charter. Let's stop this and focus on the actual important city issues. Work together and be a team. Make Northport proud of teamwork and unity on the achievements we accomplish and goals we set for a better community. Citizen Northport. Commissioners, as you grapple over a poor decision to use a photo to tell a commissioner he shouldn't be speaking directly to staff, there's a huge issue that you are ignoring. Florida lawmakers want to eliminate or deeply discount property taxes in all 67 counties, possibly losing an estimate $16 billion statewide. Northport may lose its parks, purchasing, technology, and other departments and infrastructure projects. Many quality of life services are gone if the money disappears. So while you may want to spend time on an investigation and potentially many months hiring a new city manager, ask yourself what qualified individual will come here in August or September and possibly lose millions in a November vote. The city doesn't have borrowing power like Punta Gorda, Charlotte, and Sarasota counties do, and these commissioners are all worried about the impacts of a huge tax loss. What's your plan? Have you had workshops to study the 7 proposals, or are you stuck on how a photograph and a couple of unpleasant experiences made you feel? Us taxpayers think you would rather take money from the same pot to investigate and replace the city manager. It will cost thousands by the time a court battle is settled, all because you want to talk to staff and do your own investigations. How about investigating what happens if we don't have property taxes to fund services? Stop trying to fix employees' issues and pay attention to the people who elected you. Think of the massive amount of information residents need before voting to end these services. What funds will replace property taxes? If we lose our city manager over a photograph, we won't be taken seriously by any credentialed city managers, especially if you're caught up in not being able to directly ask a police officer the vaping policy. By the way, the ordinance banning vaping in parks was adopted in 2024. Ask the city manager to meet with police staff if you have more questions and move on. Focus on the bigger, more important property tax issue. Valerie Franks. My husband and I bought a house in Northport over 20 years ago. We made this house our home and had planned on staying forever. Unfortunately, all that changed earlier this year when I learned about the rezoning of Northport that took place in 2024. That rezoning has devastated our neighborhood by allowing a 5-story apartment complex to be built among our single-family homes. I asked myself, how could this happen? Well, I quickly learned that the current city manager and the commissioners spent president in 2024, which includes City Manager Fletcher, Commissioner Langdon, Emmerich Stokes, introduced this rezoning and allowed this to happen. So that made me start paying attention to our city government, and here's what I think. 1, CM Fletcher, your stunt with the photo of Commissioner DeVal is plain and simple bullying. My 15-year knows better than to do what you did. Your behavior is embarrassing to our city and is now time to learn that there are consequences to your actions. I support City Manager Fletcher being placed on an unpaid leave while an investigation takes place. 2, I fully support Commissioners DeVal and Petro, and I thank them for looking deeper into things versus just taking the information that they are spoon-fed at face value. I also want to say to Commissioner DeVal that I am sorry for the way you have been treated. Bullying should not be acceptable anywhere. I can see in your face and your expressions how much this has affected and bothered you. And again, I'm sorry that you have to deal with this. 3, the 2026 election is coming up. 2 seats on the commission are opening up. And I'm not the only person in Northport who is not happy with how things are being done. There were 2 failed referendums in 2025. Do you see that people are waking up and paying attention? So I ask that the commissioners do the right thing today and place the city manager on an unpaid leave while his stunt is investigated. Please do the right thing. Thank you. City employee. Commissioner Petro, as an employee, I was discouraged to hear you call events and programs extracurricular activities. These are not hobbies. They are core services to the public and chances for you as an elected official to engage with the people you represent. You also said you cannot ask an employee where they see themselves in 10 years. Speaking honestly, many of us would welcome that kind of human interest. If you feel the expectations of your role limit you in ways you don't want, that isn't a policy issue. It's the responsibility that comes with being an elected official. You referenced guidance from former city manager who left under circumstances that should make anyone cautious about treating him as a model for workplace behavior. Commissioner DeVal, on October 28, you stated that you would be meeting with HR the next day to file a complaint. Instead, you waited 41 days. That timing raises questions. From the employee perspective, it looks less like a genuine concern and more like a strategic choice meant to keep the issue alive during a moment when tensions were already high. As an employee, Jerome Fletcher is our manager. He is the person charged with leading the workforce, supporting us, and handling employee-related matters. You 5 are not our commissioners in the sense of leadership over staff. You are the commissioners for the city. You do not supervise or manage employees. Watching 2 commissioners attempt to step into employee matters has been unsettling and confusing. It's not your role, and it has created unnecessary instability in the organization. This situation has dragged the city into an avoidable mess. Employees need the commission to stop fueling this conflict, follow the charter, and let the city function without political drama overshadowing everything we do. Since the holidays are coming up, Commissioner DeVal mentioned wanting to make a t-shirt for himself recently if anyone needs any last-minute gift ideas. Karen Jamal. Let's go back 11 years ago when a city employee complained her coworker kissed her and touched her breast twice and was forced to witness illegal bid rigging. She told her boss. He asked her if he if he liked working at the city. She told his supervisor. He did nothing. She told a third boss. He went to the former city manager and human resources department to explain the situation. Both the victim and the whistleblower were retaliated against by HR and building departments as the former city manager looked the other way. It wasn't until she filed a federal complaint that the city did an investigation. They asked the man if he did it, and he said no. That was it. Consequently, he died of a heart attack the day she filed the complaint. The whistleblower was suddenly and repeatedly written up and ultimately fired. The victim was forced to go to sexual harassment training while all male coworkers were excused. Her boss threw paperwork at her daily and cussed at her and other female employees. This was a real hostile work environment. Today, all 7 of them are gone from the city. Only the victim still works there. The former city manager went to the county administrative position. He never apologized to the victim or her husband. At the time, all commissioners were notified of that woman's complaint. Not one of them responded to her or the whistleblower. Why? Because it's not their job to get involved. But they could have held that city manager accountable, and they too looked the other way. The woman wasn't given a real investigation. There was no discipline for any who covered up the abuse and mental anguish. That was the culture at City Hall then, and a real example of a hostile work environment. Please don't undermine the true definition by claiming a photo warning a commissioner not to follow an employee in a work vehicle is offensive or potentially putting workers in positions where they are afraid of giving a commissioner bad information is somehow a hostile toward a commissioner. Anonymous person. I am submitting this virtual public comment because what is happening right now is unacceptable. The fact that this commission is seriously considering placing our city manager on leave is not only reckless, it is completely out of touch with the reality of what city employees and residents are experiencing. As both a taxpayer and a city employee, I can say with absolute confidence that Mr. Jerome has been one of the most effective and stabilizing leaders in the city has had in years. From the moment he arrived, employees described his leadership as a breath of fresh air. He is credentialed, experienced, and deeply engaged in the work of running this city responsibly. The majority of staff who work with him every day know exactly what he brings to this organization: professionalism, competence, and forward momentum. That matters, and it deserves to be respected. Commissioner DeVal, it is time for you to start demonstrating independent judgment. Your role is to lead, not to echo the influence of others or to act based on political pressure. Northport residents expect courage and integrity from their elected officials, not alignment with anyone's personal agenda. An investigation is going to happen, and that is fine. But until facts are established, there is absolutely no justification for rushing to sideline a city manager who has been nothing but effective and committed. Preemptive action based on speculation or politics only undermines this city and damages public trust. The community is watching, employees are watching, and many of us are tired of seeing good leadership targeted for reasons that have nothing to do with performance or the best interests of Northport. Do the responsible thing, allow the investigation to proceed without interfering in the day-to-day leadership of this city. Let the city manager continue doing the job he was hired to do and fully qualified to do. Thank you. In person, I have Susan Balmer and Pam Tokars, and then John Rawlings.
Hi, I'm Susan Balmer. I would just like to make a few comments in reference to the 2 news articles that were in the newspaper recently. One, there's the question, why is it puzzling that there are, quote, people who want him gone, unquote, that they have, quote, possible motives, quote, unquote. You have all seen the disrespect, manipulation, and bullying shown to many citizens and residents as they have voiced concern. The failed referendum revealed a huge lack of trust in the way the city's being managed. I've witnessed 2 commission meetings where the new commissioners have been blatantly chastised. They see a policy that is not working, asking for change. They must feel manipulated, disrespected, and bullied. One article quoted Mr. Fletcher as saying the rules in, quote, the rules in place are checks and balances that level the playing field for commissioners, unquote. I guess that is true. If the information comes through the city manager's office, it's interpreted and presented in the manner that commissioners are asked to believe. This way, all the communication has a possibility of being biased. Is that how we want our city run? Rules may need to be changed if they are not allowing for transparency and honesty. As to the picture, according to Mr. Fletcher, Mr. Duval took it as it was meant, as a joke. If it was a joke, why was it in every department behind his back? Commissioner Duval did not campaign day after day on his own to be influenced by anyone else in this action. He is very much his own person. The seriousness of this matter of disrespect and harassment is foremost. He did not sign up for this. Neither did Commissioner Petro. The hostile environment we see played out in this room must stem from how city business is being managed day to day. We don't know the exact process independent analysis will take, but we have doubts as to how one goes about getting honest facts from employees who answer to the city manager and could be afraid of repercussions. We do all have different opinions. Everyone needs to be heard with dignity and transparency. No disrespect, no manipulation, no bullying, no retaliation.
Thank you.
Hi, Pam Tokar is apparently on public enemy number 4. I listened to Tuesday's meeting and I heard a lot of the opinion coming out. Everyone has expressed their opinion. So that's great. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion. Unfortunately, everyone's opinion is not the same. We have the First Amendment. So if I'm exercising my First Amendment right, that's great. Everyone else is here doing the same thing. And that's how it's supposed to work. We're supposed to have two different sides. I heard the word opinion, but what I did not hear was compromise. We have to compromise. So if these two fellow commissioners are not happy with the policy, then compromise, rewrite it. I do understand the need for the sunshine law. You can outline it to say, hey, if there's something that has to be done for an agenda item, then that definitely goes through the city manager. If not, if you just want a personal question asked, then go to it and ask the employee directly. So that would be one of the ways to compromise. And I do know that Mr. Fletcher was brought here for economic development, and that's his specialty. And unfortunately, with the things that he's needed to do with the rezoning, it's going to take a while where we get to where we need to be. So I don't say that he's doing a bad job with that, but when it comes down to people feeling uncomfortable or berated or affected like that, that affects me because it's personal to me, because you've gone through it in your own workplace. You don't want other people to go through it as well. So that's one of the reasons why I'm doing it. So that's my questions and concerns, and thanks.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. I know I was here a couple days ago. A couple things I want to point out. One, your presentation, City Commissioner, or City Manager Fletcher, that was awesome because it gave structure behind everything that the citizens should be listening to. I listened to Pam, so I made an adjustment off of that, and I liked what you said. Rules. I said it several times the other day. Seems like we have two people who can't follow rules. Now we want to change them, but we want to fix them so that the same party that is sitting over here trying to fix our city from years of neglect, and I'm going to say it because the truth is we're a city that's in growth. If we don't start taking some of these things that we're doing on this commission, on the past commission, we're not going to fix our problems. This is not a problem. A hostile work environment doesn't get handled like it got handled by David. I disagree with you 100%. 100%. If you were taken advantage of, there was definitely a time frame for you. and your time frame, it is amplified by 4 years of Mr. Fletcher being told, we don't want you here, by one person. One person. And it's amplified into a lot more than that. Talk about bullying. You guys want to talk about, shake your head. I don't mind you shaking your head. But you talk about bullying, it's all over Facebook. It's the court of public opinion. And the court of public opinion should not be part of this process. It should have been handled professionally by you. You have the background. You know what should have been done. You've been through trainings in your life about this stuff. I have. Everybody in here has gone through trainings about how to handle it. You absolutely failed in handling this the proper way, and you've let a single individual and a group handle this and waste everyone's money on taxpayers' side of things. It is a complete waste of money, and that is on you. I disrespect I respect the processes. I disrespect what's happening here. This is not the proper way of handling your business. And if you would have done the right thing, we wouldn't all be here now. You didn't even acknowledge the apology the other day. And you got it.
Thank you.
That's all in person, but I do have 2 more e-comments.
Okay.
Laura Ansel, I've had the opportunity to work with City Manager Jerome Fletcher for several years before leaving the city this past spring. In that time, I've come to respect his work ethic, his steady leadership, and his genuine commitment to serving Northport. There's no question he has accomplished a great deal during his tenure. He has taken on tough issues, pushed necessary initiatives forward, and carried out the direction and vision set by this commission. Even when doing so meant taking a significant amount of heat from a community who blamed him for your decisions. That comes with the job, but it does not make it easy, and yet he has continued to show up, stay focused, and keep Northport moving toward the future we all say we want, a city that lives up to its potential, not one that settles for the status quo. Has he made mistakes? Of course. Anyone in a role of this scope will. But he has also faced extraordinary challenges, learned from them, and kept pressing ahead to accomplish every project you tasked him to prioritize. That deserves recognition, not a rush of judgment. As a longtime resident of this community, I'm asking the Commission to stay focused on the issues that truly matter to the people who live here, infrastructure that can support our growth, real stormwater solutions, preserving and honoring our green spaces, planning smartly, and diversifying our tax base so we're not relying on homeowners to shoulder the entire burden. This process today only distracts from those priorities. It does not make our city stronger. It pulls time, attention, and money away from the work we desperately need done. Let's get back to the big picture. Let's talk about where we want the city to go and how we get there together. Northport deserves that focus. And Mr. Fletcher deserves fair and balanced consideration for the work he's done on our behalf. Thank you, Laura Ansel. Jill Luke. Commissioners, I have emailed my comments to you prior to this meeting. I hope you have had time to read them. I know and understand the position that you are in currently. I was hoping that things could stay calm until you were able to get into a retreat or some open educational discussion could occur. But with things being hastened, I would ask that what is before you be declined and get a sound advisor for a retreat early in the new year to get all parties on the same page for the sake of our community and the common good of its residents. We need peace, please. And that's all, Mayor.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to general business, item 26-0216, discussion and possible action regarding placement of the city manager on administrative leave. Mr. Fawino, this is your item, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. On Monday afternoon, December 8th, a complaint was lodged against the city manager. I am tasked, along with the Human Resources Department, pursuant to a policy that was adopted by the Commission in 2019 in determining the facial sufficiency of the allegations of the complaint, as well as whether investigation is warranted. The policy, which is in some ways unclear to me, is very broad and it essentially allows any person to lodge any complaint against any of the charter officers at any time. My interpretation, my best interpretation of what the policy means is that an investigation is warranted by me, when a complaint is lodged by the manager, because the policy uses the word shall in at least one place, if the complaint involves a personnel matter as opposed to a performance issue, which is when you take the facial allegations of the complaint, in this instance, would be. The policy is silent as to what to do with the city manager during the pendency of any investigation, which is why you see there's 3 options before you. However, the policy is just that. It's a policy. It's not a law. It is a personnel policy of the commission. And the fact that it was adopted by resolution does not change the matter. All a resolution is an expression by the body of a matter of administration. That's a definition straight from the Florida statute. It's different than, say, an ordinance. An ordinance is an actual official legislative act that can be enforceable as a local law. It's different than a charter provision, which is the Constitution of the city, different than a state statute or a federal regulation. All this is a policy that I, as your employer, am required to follow the best I can. As the employer, though, it is not something that you are necessarily bound by if you don't like it. In other words, what's happening here is any investigation that's done by me pursuant to this policy is done for the commission's benefit. And so if the commission sees no benefit in the investigation, then there's no point in me doing one. So the preliminary question that the commission needs to answer is whether or not they want me to carry out an investigation in the first place. If the answer to that question is yes, then I recommend that you place the city manager out on paid administrative leave. That is also not based on some absolute requirement of law. There's no federal regulation, state or local one that says you have to do that. It is my recommendation just based on past practice within the city. However, if the commission decides that further investigation is not warranted for whatever reason, then you don't need to reach on the issue of paid administrative leave or paid or unpaid or whether to put the manager on administrative leave in the first place. I want to know that under the charter, in section 9.03, the charter allows the commission to remove the manager for good cause at essentially any time in accordance with the manager's employment contract. Additionally, both myself and the manager are subject to any discipline that our employer, which is the commission, decides it wants to impose on us at essentially any time. So if I showed up at a commission meeting once and you didn't like the color of my shirt, you could simply say, you could admonish me in public for that, just like any employer would do for any other employee. And that's all that this policy is. It is just a policy. It is a personnel policy for you all to decide what you want to do for your 3 employees that are under your direct command. So, what I ask is that you first provide me with direction on whether or not you want to, if you would like me to investigate in the first place. If the answer is no, then you don't need to reach on the issue of administrative leave. If the answer is yes, then you move on that issue. And then a third issue would be if you decide that you do want to investigate and you want to place the administrator, the city manager on leave, then you will decide on who to place the interim city manager. That is all I have. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Okay, commission. Questions and discussion. Please put your name in the queue so I can get to you in order. Commissioner or Vice Mayor Langdon, please.
Thank you, Mayor. We are here today because Commissioner Duval has filed a verbal complaint with the city's Human Resource Division, citing City Manager Fletcher for disrespecting him and creating a hostile work environment. As a result, we are here to consider conducting an investigation into these allegations and perhaps placing City Manager Fletcher on administrative leave while the investigation is underway. My question is this: what is there to investigate? At Tuesday's meeting on December 9th, our city manager acknowledged his lapse in judgment regarding the poster, took responsibility for his actions, and apologized 3 times that I counted to you, Commissioner Duval, an apology that you did not accept at Tuesday's meeting. You had the opportunity to end this when you took offense at the poster. We have direct responsibility for our charter officers. You had the opportunity to sit with city manager, as I'm sure I know I do from time to time, and provide input on his performance and the results or lack thereof of our efforts. You had the opportunity, you had the responsibility, you did not take it. You again had the opportunity on Tuesday to accept his apology, putting this situation to bed, and you did not take it. So I have to ask you, Commissioner Duval, what is it going to take to satisfy you? I suspect I won't change anyone's mind here today by what I am about to say, but I do feel compelled to share my perspective on what is really going on here and to let my fellow commissioners, the employees of this city, and the community at large to know that I will not be supporting any investigation into city manager's behavior, and I will not vote for any type of administrative leave for the city manager. I will not support any action or decision that continues this endless cycle of hate and distraction. And here's why. I view this current complaint as just the latest in a series of baseless complaints against the city manager made in a deliberate attempt to ruin his reputation and force his firing or resignation from his position in the city. It is a deliberate campaign to discredit him, a campaign that started even before he assumed his job with this city. It is important for our committee to understand that this is not folks coming here to exercise their freedom of speech. It is not about that. It's not about people who want to voice their disapproval of how we're running the city. It's not about people who want to criticize our policies or projects that are underway in the city. It is a deliberate and systematic attempt by a small group of individuals to defame and damage the reputation of a man who has given his heart and soul to advancing this city and making life better for the folks who live here and the businesses who have located here. How do they do it? They do it by spreading misinformation and sometimes outright lies on the social media platforms that they administer. And then they encourage their followers to share in the hate. Let's call this out for what it is. It is a hate group. Our city manager is not the only target of these people. Not only have other staff members and elected officials been targets of their ruthless attacks, but other leaders in our community whose only crime is being vocal supporters of our city when we do good and thoughtful critics when they think we've messed up or could do things better, and I appreciate that. And Mr. Rawlings, I am so sorry, sir, that you are one of those community leaders who has been targeted by these haters, when the only thing you have tried to accomplish is to bring emergency broadcasting to this city so that we can improve communications with the residents who live here and the businesses who are located here during times of natural disaster. And I applaud your efforts. These character assassinations don't only hurt the people being targeted, but they also hurt the residents and businesses of our wonderful city because they create dissension and distraction from our mission, which is to improve the lives of everybody who lives here. Damage to individuals is not the only fallout from these destructive efforts. We use tax dollars of hardworking residents of this city to defend the city against these baseless attacks. Over the past 5 years, we have spent over $150,000 on outside legal fees to defend city staff and city officials from baseless ethics complaints and legal challenges presented by this small group of haters. All of those complaints have been denied or dismissed by the courts for lack of merit. And this price tag does not even begin to estimate the amount of staff time spent researching these issues and responding to public requests. All of this, the $150,000 in outside legal fees, have resulted from the activities of two people in our city. Do you really think that conducting an investigation and placing the city manager on leave will satisfy these haters when a public apology didn't? Let me remind my fellow commissioners who were here for the Commissioner McDowell complaint made 2 years ago. We bent over backwards to address her concerns. We discussed it publicly for hours. We participated in team building exercises to try to correct what was happening, and conducted an internal investigation that came back. There's nothing to see here. Did that satisfy the haters' complaints? No, because the results did not support their destructive narrative. Commissioner Duval, you are not a victim here. And there is no need for you to be protected from the behavior of your subordinate, the city manager, in his attempts to try to get you to abide by the charter of this city. If anyone is being victimized here, it's Mr. Fletcher. So, fellow commissioners, please, I implore you, let's put this distraction behind us and refocus our efforts, and those of city staff, where it belongs, which is to continue to advance our amazing city and doing everything we can to make life better for everybody who lives here. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for allowing me the opportunity to speak.
Thank you. Commissioner Duval, you're next, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. I made a verbal complaint. During that verbal complaint, I had discussions with our director of HR, and also in the room was our assistant city manager. That made me a little uncomfortable, and I stated that I thought the situation probably made all of us uncomfortable. I was asked during that discussion to be quiet about that complaint. And I have done that. I presume that the other parties in that room have been quiet about it, which to me indicates that Commissioner Vice Mayor Langdon does not know of all of those accusations that were made in that meeting. And I want to address what I'm hearing about hostile work environment. I had a discussion during that meeting where I said, people had advised me, don't go talking about hostile work environment. And I did not talk about hostile work environment. There were other things that I talked about. One of them was retaliation. And because of that, I think this should go forward as an investigation. But I am mad at the guy. Why would I want him to go out on leave and have a vacation? I don't support putting our city manager out on administrative leave. I just want this to go forward by a true outside investigation. Not an attorney that once worked for the city, maybe a friend of our city attorneys. I just want a true outside investigation. Now, I didn't want to have to address this, but when it comes to apologies, I spent time this morning re-listening to the meeting from the other day. And the city manager himself, after he said, he apologized, he also said he put it in context. He also said that if I'd asked him for an apology, I would have got one. If you're truly sorry for something, you apologize. You don't need someone to come up and ask for an apology. I think I've made myself clear on this. I want an independent investigation to go forward. I want people to consider that if this was not city government, but if this was a board of directors and the city manager was a CEO of the company, and if the CEO of the company had put such a poster up, would that board of directors be in favor of keeping that CEO in place with no correction? Now I want to, people are bringing things up, and I will maintain again, anything I say on this dais comes from my head. I am not following any group, and I refuse to attack any person, any private citizen in this city. I'm trying to do what is good for what I feel is right for the citizens of this committee, of this city. There is
no reason for anyone to attack anyone else. Personally, I do not attack the city manager. But I do ask for respect for this office. If you disrespect this office, you're disrespecting the citizens of this city. Some mention has been made of a future retreat. Believe me, if we have such a retreat, I'll have a lot of things to say. But right now, this is only about whether or not we should investigate actions that were taken, and the secondary question, whether we should put our city manager on administrative leave. Because again, I say, city manager has work to do for this city. Administrative leave, that to me, I don't know, maybe that would give someone some idea of retribution or whatever. I'm not about that. City manager has work to do here and it should continue. But I would like the investigation to continue. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Stokes, you're next.
Well, I'm not going to comment on many of the things that have already been said by members of the public, online, on this commission. But I'll address the question that the city attorney raised, which is, does this commission feel an investigation is necessary? And he's indicated to this body that that is our legal right to do. In this instance, typically investigations are done for the purpose of ascertaining facts and truths. And it's based on those facts and truths that decisions are made about what to do about a situation, in this case, a complaint. This body has firsthand knowledge. We were there. This wasn't a story of, did some supervisor touch some employee and who said what, and did she approve it? Did he brush against her? Did he touch? None of that is here. We all know what happened on this dais. Nobody's in dispute of the facts. City manager laid it out. What he did, what happened, what his intent was, the acknowledgement that it was a mistake. No two ways about it. Everybody agrees there. I don't see what information an investigation would yield that would provide this commission with any more information than it already has to make a decision. Spending taxpayer dollars to have a third party investigate what we already know, because all the information, all the facts, all come from us, not staff, not people in the city, it's us. We were here for it. We know exactly what happened. We're in a position to make that decision. Was it wrong? Yes. The question is, what does this rise to the level of? Commissioner Duvall said, if someone makes a mistake and an apology should be offered, but when a party doesn't know that they've offended somebody, that's a problem. And for 3 weeks to a month, this was an inside joke for us. Commissioner Duvall wanted to make up a t-shirt. We said, gee, maybe we should all make up t-shirts. This was a joke. However, a month and a half later, Commissioner Duvall decided that it wasn't a joke. So it was only a joke till it wasn't. And everyone has the right to change their mind. He has every right to be affronted, to be offended. I was asked after this event by Stephanie Gibson at my town hall, mayor, at the time I was mayor, how do you feel about this? If this happened to you, what would you have done? I said, first of all, I thought it was in poor taste. 2, I would have taken it off the wall when I saw it in his office. I would have ripped it up in pieces, dropped it on his desk, demanded an apology. Right there, like a man. And then, if I didn't get it, I would have told him that he was going to give it to me in public in front of all the citizens of this city. That's the way I would have handled it. And the reality is, he didn't know, this is city manager, that there was any problem, that Commissioner Duval was upset at all until his review, during which none of this was included. It's all happened before that review was prepared. Not one word of it in that review. He gave him reasonably good grades and a raise we gave him. Nothing about this issue until the end of the meeting when out comes the picture and Commissioner Duval indicated how upset he was. So I'm not sure how one could expect someone to apologize for something that they didn't know was a problem. It was in poor taste. He acknowledged it. He apologized for it. My take on this is that Tuesday should have wrapped this up, that an apology was offered publicly, should be accepted. I can't imagine what else should be done at this point. I'm not going to play this little group's game. This has been, this has been a 4-year-plus campaign to undermine and remove the city manager. Former Commissioner McDowell made it very clear she never supported him. She and her cutouts filed grievances and complaints with the ethics board that fell on deaf ears because there was no merit in them. And now here we are, back at it again. And I have to tell you, I'm not going to be party to that. I do not support doing any investigation at all. I think the apology was sufficient in this case. I think we have bigger fish to fry in this city, challenges. We were elected to do the best for the most in this city and represent this city and try to move this city into its next incarnation. We have enormous challenges. This is a distraction, and this needs to end. These people continue, regardless of anything, they just continue relentlessly to attack. And, quite frankly, nothing we do will satisfy them. And, I just feel it's time to move on and work together as a 5-member commission to work on behalf of the citizens. That's what they elected us for. That's what we get paid for. Thank you, Mayor.
Sir.
I yield.
Commissioner Petro, you're next.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm going to take this at a different level, to look at this issue from a different angle, if you will. First, if someone thinks we enjoy this, they're completely wrong. We as a board have to be united in achieving what's the best for the city, what's best for the community, for the people who elected us. Whether they voted for us or didn't vote for us, we still represent those people who live in this city. However, my question is this: if we as the board do not have to follow the very policy that the board adopted, how does the city manager expect the commissioners abide by the policy that he put it into effect, and that is employee policy 6.8? My question is this: let's look at this issue from the source. Why are we here? And how did we get here? And I want to say that I desire to look into the source of this issue and how we got here. The city manager has done a fabulous work in the area of economic development. Whether we agree with that or don't agree, he has done his work, and as he should, because he was appointed to do that work and he's getting paid to do that work. But I would like, this issue of this incident, and I want to speak on my own. I don't want to get into that stuff, although it does affect all of us. But the issue stems from the same ultimatum that we as city commissioners cannot communicate with the city employees. And when we were told not to do that, there would be some consequences. Now, this is one of the way this resulted in this way of being a retribution, by the way, which was not warranted, either joking matter or not joking matter. It was some type of a payback, if you will, if you continue to do this. And we, as the city commissioners, by no means have to abide by the policy that was placed by the city manager. So it is not just a photograph incident. It undermines the work of the city commissioners. It is not stepping into employees' areas. And I hear this over and over again, that we do not follow the rules. We don't respect the charter. By the way, we don't have to follow the rules that are being implemented by the city manager. He has to follow by our rules. And it is important for me, at least, and as far as I can see for some other commissioners, obtaining transparency. And yes, opinions too, because a lot of questions were raised. Why would you want to have opinion as opposed to a fact? Opinions matter. And we continue to be told that we have to listen to the opinions of subject matter experts. So whether we listen to them or not listen, I'm a little bit confused at this point. And I was told many times, no other municipality has this provision that you can go and freely converse with city employees. And that's my problem. My problem is this, that I want to correct this problem and look into the source of this problem and the result of this problem that we are witnessing, and that's why we're here today, which is not very pleasant, even for me. I'm not looking for any recognition. Again and again, I want to stress that I'm not being influenced by a small group. We keep hearing this small group, small voice, small vocal minority. This is not about that. This is, I made a list of just a handful of counties and municipalities local municipalities that have this open policy. Yesterday, I called the city clerk of Punta Gorda. She told me, yes, it is practiced. Any council member can go to any city employees and ask any questions they want, as long as it does not overstep the authority of giving them directions. And again, I'm bringing this, if we don't have to abide by the policy that the very board accepted and adopted by looking into this investigation, by taking this step into investigation phase, how are we being expected to follow the policy and the rules by a policy that was not even adopted by us? That is not to talk to the city employees. Eventually, this topic, if it's not resolved, and at this point it's not resolved, it will end up in courts. Somebody else is going to challenge, or another different board will adopt the ordinance and specify that any commissioner is free and welcome to talk to the city employees. To me, it's a transparency and accountability issue. To me, it's very important to represent the citizens of the city, because I do want to get unbiased opinions. I do want to get more information, unvetted information. And as I was told by the previous manager, whatever the conduct was, he did not prohibit the city employees from engaging into conversation with the city commissioners. Suddenly got changed, and it was done. And I was told many times that was his policy. That was it was adopted. It was in practice. Well, was it or was it not? From what I know, people could freely converse with city managers, with the city employees. city commissioners, I'm sorry. I just, you know, it's not a distraction. I just think that we have to look into a deeper level of this issue, and that is the source, how and why we got here. And until we resolve this, we're gonna have problems. Problems of isolation, problems of fostering a community of unity that is not really a community of unity. And talk about compromises. When I was warned many times not to talk to the city employees, you know, I would at least welcome some sort of compromise, by the way, by which I did not have to abide or accept, but I was not offered that. Instead, I was warned that if you do this, there will be consequences. What kind of consequences? Well, yesterday I heard that it would be consequences to be referred to the Ethics Commission and whatnot, but there are no rules to be followed by. The charter is vague. The charter states that we as the commission should we should not deal with administrative services. We cannot make or make requests of city employees. That's it. And if the commission board accepted the third opinion, it's just an opinion. I still, in my own authority, I can still converse. Will I do that or not? That's a different question. But I see that the culture of unity, of where the commission should work together with the city employees, it's a perfect setup. I think that's how we can achieve more. If that's how we avoid lawsuits, I think a lot of lawsuits or settlements could be avoided. And I'm speaking sincerely, because the city employees are afraid to talk to us. We are prohibited from talking to them. This is just nonsense. I mean, and this meeting is the result of that nonsense we got here. And no personal attacks. I respect the city manager. Many times I told him on our one-on-ones, if someone else was sitting in your chair, I would be asking the same questions, same inquiries, because we had some distrust issues at the beginning. Maybe we still do. But I told him, nothing personal. This is just a city business. And the real reason why I ran for the seat is to make the city better. And now I'm here, and I'm being told, you cannot talk to the city employees. How would you feel if you were in my shoe? How would David Duval, Commissioner Duval would feel? And this is the consequence, direct consequence of how he feels. I know Commissioner Duval, he has no ill intent. He would not be giving directions to any employees. He told me firsthand, I just want to see the process. I want to make recommendation. I want to be open. I want to go and ask questions for the city's sake. Now, I'm not defending Commissioner Duval just because he's in the situation he is in. I'm defending the betterment of the city. This would be so much better for the city. And there's no compromise. There's only an ultimatum. And I'm the result of this ultimatum. I did not want to be in the article, or for that matter, in any TV program. I don't want my name to be there. But yet I'm there, not by my own promotion, not by my own desire, but because I want what's better. Now, be careful what you wish for. I want to say that, which I said at the previous meeting. You know, if we get another city manager who would be abusive, because we know we're not going to be in the same positions forever, correct? City manager will move on for he will retire, whatever, or he will be terminated, whatever, right? We're going to have another city manager. And these city employees would want to talk to us. And they would be shown this policy, 6.8, that if you do, you'll lose your job. as we heard from another speaker, that was exactly the similar scenario that we've heard. I think it's, as much as I want to work together, I think it's better to work efficiently, to work effectively, to be sincere, and to be in unison as far as the city. I don't think and I don't know, I cannot speak for Commissioner Duval, but I don't have any agenda of division in our city. I was accused of being an association of a vocal minority, but I want to hear their voice as well. And maybe they are so vocal because they are the only one that pay attention to some mistakes that are being done in the city. But I think with the recent developments, how we got here and that we're all aware of all the details by now, I think it's in the interest of the board, the city employees, and quite frankly, the respect and abide to the formal process. I do believe it's beneficial to conduct an investigation regarding the complaint that was filed on December 8th, 2025. And we know all the facts, but we might not know all the facts. The source of investigation will come from independent, I believe, review or whatnot, but it will not be initiating this investigation on our own. We'll be part of this investigation. And this investigation might tell us what needs to be done or how we got there or what can be resolved. But I just believe that, we say it's personal, it's a distraction. I don't believe that it's purely that. It might have some elements of it, but until we solve the issue, Commissioner Duval is not going to be the last victim, if you will, of this humiliation. Yes, it was a joke, according to the city manager. Yes, it was funny, but all of us process insults differently, whether it's joking way of it or serious. At the last meeting, I was berated. I didn't take it personally. I was told, that I don't follow the law, which is not true. I was told that my character, I brought baggage from my previous past, and that's how I project my perception of the government. Well, show me one person who trusts the government. I have not met anyone. I have not met anyone. So that's why I think we have to be transparent. We have to be transparent in the way that, I'm, as much as I cannot push against the majority of this board, but I do think we have to look at the root of this issue. And this incident is to some, might be minor, but I'll wrap up quickly. This is not a minor issue. I'm not talking about the incident, but I'm talking about the real issue, how we got to this. We have to look at how we got to this, because if we don't fix the issue, it's going to have more problems. I'm talking about the concentration of city business. We do have to concentrate on city business, but I'm talking about from a point of transparency and accountability. And if I'm not allowed to ask questions, I'm sorry, I'm not doing my job effectively. And if the majority of the board feels this way, that we should not be talking to the city employees, this is the way it is. But it is what it is. Thank you, Mayor. Sorry for the long.
No, everybody's allowed their time. Commissioner Duval, I know you're in the queue, but I'd like to say something since this is our first round. First off, the other day on Tuesday, I want to get something clear with Commissioner Petro. When I asked every commissioner up here if they were going to follow the charter and the policy once we discussed it and found out that the attorney had gone out and got an opinion and everything coincided and worked together. So when I asked that question, you had said you would follow the law. Both of y'all did, which is fine. So we were brought up that policies are not laws. So I take that as you will follow the law. The charter is the law that we follow as commissioners. So if the policy states pretty much the same thing as the charter, then you must follow the charter. Not saying you got to follow the policy, but you must follow the charter. And the charter says all communications will go through the city manager. Shall. That's the law. Now, it does not state that you cannot have general conversations with the employees, which I do all the time. That's being cordial. But when you start talking about the day-to-day business, city activities through the workplace, that must go through the city manager. You can talk to him all day long, go out to dinner with him, but you cannot discuss the day-to-day business. That's what the charter states. So I just wanted to remind you of that, and that's what needs to be followed moving forward. No, you can't, because I have the floor right now, and then Commissioner Duvall will go, and then you will go, because that's the order of the queue, and I'm following the queue today. Now, with this policy, I'm going through human resources and through the attorney. It was put in place 21-ish, 19, between 19 and 21. But we've also had policies in place for our regular employees on what is supposed to happen when they seem to find themselves in a jam or whatever. And normal procedures are, and I see human resources sitting out there, is that normally that employee will be taken aside and given an oral reprimand. Step 2 is if that behavior still keeps going, then that employee would get a written reprimand. And then if that employee still keeps going, and there's time limits involved too, I believe it's a year, I'm not sure. If they repetitively completely doing the same thing over and over again, then it would go out to an investigation with possible termination. Now, if we were to follow those scenarios, I would have to ask the city manager, how many oral reprimands do you have currently?
None.
How many written reprimands do you have currently?
None.
Okay, thank you. All right, Commissioner Duvall, you're up.
Thank you, Mayor. I would just like to state, as the city attorney stated earlier, a policy is not a law. I want people to keep that in mind. Secondly, the way this procedure is lined out for what we're doing, we're going to be taking a vote on whether or not to continue this. And my fellow commissioners are only thinking about the picture that the city manager produced. That is not the totality of my complaint. And HR department asked me to be quiet about this, but how can I be quiet when we're going to be voting and we're not voting on all of the information? We're not voting on all of my complaint. So therefore, I'm going to reveal some information now about what was in my complaint, in my verbal complaint. There was the picture when I went for my one-on-one with the city manager. Saw the picture, then continued on into the room. It was not a laughing matter then. We did not have any good laughs about it. The city manager continued to go out and get a page from the policy that said I couldn't be speaking with people, and it was outlined. And he stood there at the table after he put it down in front of me, and he said, "It's been a solid year." I didn't hear any laughing. There was no laughing from me, and I didn't hear any laughing from him. Now, subsequent to that, I did run into my fellow commissioners out of the parking lot. And the topic came up. And yeah, I did make a statement like maybe I should, get a t-shirt made. But it was no real laughing matter. Now, what has not been discussed here, and I'm going to bring it forth right now, is that subsequent to the meeting, when I held that picture up and let people know how upset I was about it. After that, my one-on-one meetings that are normally held in the city manager's office were changed on my calendar and put down in room 204, which is the city clerk's conference room. I was being excommunicated, if you will, from the city manager's office. I had a meeting scheduled in the city manager's office with our communications division over our rebranding. That was also changed. To me, that is retaliation. That's all.
Okay, Commissioner Petro.
Thank you, Mayor. Just to respond about, the law, if we follow the law and that stuff. If the question was brought to outside counsel asking a question, if the policy confirms to the charter, that does not become a law. That's one point. Second point, if the question was phrased differently, and legal team can confirm that, and any lawyer can confirm that, if the question is phrased differently, asking, for example, can city commissioners ask questions with exception of dealing with administrative service, as it clearly states that we are not allowed to meddle into the administrative service, that is creating budgets, creating documents of comparison, whatnot, what vehicles to buy. But if we state the question differently, if we can convert, if the city commissions are prohibited by the charter to converse, I think we get completely different conclusion. So yes, I'll follow the charter, but the charter still doesn't forbid us from talking to the city employees. Now the next question, will it conform to this policy? Most likely, yes. I'm not gonna be going against made-up policy. Will my job be as effective as I want it to be? No, it will not be as effective as I want it to be, because getting different opinions, and it's good to get different opinions from employees. As you probably know, there are many ways where the management gets into the, senior management gets into the frontline workers and ask them, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? Not only it's a good marketing and improvement plan, it's a good evaluation process of what can be done as a recommendation to the city manager from a second set of view. We could be so much beneficial to the city manager if we were allowed to do that. And I'm speaking sincerely. I respect the city manager's work. I respect what he does. I might not agree with all of what he does. That's a different issue. But if only we could be allowed to do that. And there were no compromise. I just want to say it again. There were no compromises made. Yes, we'll think about it. You cannot talk to me. That's it. So I'll follow the law. Will I be effective? To some extent. Will I be fostering it will be a culture of unity? Probably not. I mean, we can see it people can see it from where they watch us. And I would be very skeptical to accept the statement, where are those people? They don't come here. A lot of people work. And the previous meeting was in the daytime, and a lot of people were working. But I can assure you, a big majority of people that are interested in the politics of the city, they watch us. They watch us online. They watch us where they can. So again, I just wanted to say what I said and then make an emphasis that the real issue is not a picture incident, which is important. Now we look at differently, even public looks differently at this situation, as we heard from public speakers. But that's just the result of what the real issue, and the real issue stands that we cannot talk to the city employees. I'm probably beating this to death, but unless it's changed, I don't know how it will be changed, but it will be changed. I welcome that change, and I really sincerely welcome that change. Not to overstep the charter, but if only we could talk freely, how awesome that would be. At this moment, we're trying to correct and resolve something that, stemmed from the very real issue that is I'm bringing up again and again. And I think this would be the last meeting that I did as far as this board, because there's no point. I can see the opinions and votes that have been produced regarding this issue, that there's no way we can go, or there's no way I can go against that, unless through legal matters, and I don't advocate that I will do that. But the charter, I will conclude with that, the charter does not prohibit city commissioners from talking to employees regarding city business. That's my take, and that's how I read the charter. And just to make the list, Palm Beach, Waukulla, Orange County, Punta Gorda, I spoke with Punta Gorda's city clerk, confirmed it, that this is the way it's been practiced. City of Venice, Sarasota County, and yet I was told no other municipalities allow that. I guess somebody was wrong. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. There's nobody left in the queue. The one thing I will say is I've heard this twice now from, I believe, both commissioners, if not, it was from one, that they would want to be able to be giving recommendations to employees. In my opinion, in the way that I hear it, that's direction. Because how would an employee bark back to a commissioner saying, hey, you're all full of beans, we've tried that years ago, it just doesn't work. The best way to do it is to go through the city manager, have him go through his staff and come up with the proper, questions and answers on how that policy or whatever is being done at that time gets done properly, because it depends on the subject matter. But we're going to be moving on. And City Clerk, do we have any public comment?
Yes. Jerry Singh, I fully support City Manager Jerome Fletcher. City Manager is responsible for the day-to-day operations of the city, and city commissioners are the legislative body to make decisions. How hard is that to understand? In any government position, communication through leadership is important, so information is accurate with no issues. How do you think it is done in other units of government and military? It's all the same in keeping leadership in the loop to be effective. Keep it simple and work together. Stop the pettiness. Michelle Moore. Good morning. Honorable Mayor, Commissioners, and fellow citizens of Northport, my name is Michelle Moore, and I am a resident and business owner. I am speaking today to strongly oppose the motion to place City Manager Jerome Fletcher on administrative leave. I know Mr. Fletcher personally from the Chamber leadership class of 2022. His leadership has consistently focused on serving Northport with the clear mandate of doing the right thing because it is the right thing to do. Since his arrival, he has successfully managed multiple devastating hurricanes and championed greater transparency and proper governance. As a graduate of the Northport University Class 2, I know that our city operates like a seamless business. Our charter rules are the speed limits of good governance, set in place to protect every citizen and department. The motion to place Mr. Fletcher on leave is rooted not in his failure to lead, but in an alleged disregard for the charter by a certain commissioner who sought information outside the proper recourse. The city manager's duty is to uphold the chain of command. By all accounts, Mr. Fletcher has done just that. The law is the law. It does not bend for feelings. Bringing this matter forward in a public emergency setting consumes valuable commission time and taxpayer dollars on a distraction. We have far more pressing issues related to growth, infrastructure, and recovery that demand your collective focus. I urge this commission to cease this unnecessary expenditure of time and resources, respect the laws in our city charter and the will of the citizens. Stop poking the bear. Let's get back to the vital work required to continue to live and love Northport. Thank you. Cheryl Cook. I want to focus on the structure that guides our city. The commission manager form of government, along with our charter and state law, creates a clear separation between policymaking and administration. The separation protects staff from political pressure and keeps operations stable and predictable. A complaint has been filed, but its contents have not been shared publicly. Because of that, it is important not to assume what it involves or what actions are necessary before the investigation is complete. Many organizations allow leadership to remain in place during an inquiry to preserve continuity and avoid destabilizing administration before the facts are known. Maintaining consistent leadership also helps uphold the safeguards and boundaries fundamental to our form of government. We also have relevant local precedent. A group of residents filed a lawsuit against the city and then Commissioner Debbie McDowell, alleging she improperly listened to an off-record strategy discussion involving private citizens during COVID, and further alleging she shared information obtained from that discussion. During the litigation, she continued to serve. No leave was taken. The city allowed the process to proceed while maintaining stability. Past interim periods have been challenging for staff, particularly during public meetings. For example, in a joint meeting on 3/30/21, a sitting commissioner directed what appeared to be an antagonist comments at staff and stated she would escalate her behavior unless the meeting was recessed. No one at the time publicly defended staff, nor was any complaint known to have been filed. Returning to an environment where staff may feel unprotected could unintentionally weaken the structure our charter is designated to uphold. For these reasons, I respectfully support allowing city manager to continue to work during the investigation. Anonymous employee. I would like to start by expressing my sincere respect for both our current and former city commissioners, as well as our city manager, Jerome Fletcher. Jerome joined our city during a period marked by internal challenges and unrest that affected many employees. Despite these difficulties, he has worked diligently to foster a constructive work environment. In recent months, we have not represented our city in the best professional light. We have aired our grievances publicly. It saddens me that these matters have dominated our city's focus for so long, and the situation continues to escalate uncontrollably. As a long-term employee of the city of Northport, this is particularly concerning to me. Mr. Fletcher has not only shown genuine remorse for his misstep, but he has also taken accountability on multiple occasions, publicly acknowledging the impact of his actions. Throughout Mr. Fletcher's tenure as city manager, I have never felt afraid to speak with a commissioner about topics outside of city-related business. I do not perceive a hostile work environment. I understand the importance of maintaining discipline within our organization while also appreciating the significance of offering second chances. Mr. Fletcher has consistently demonstrated commendable performance as city manager, reflecting professionalism in his duties. Although his leadership style can be demanding, his intentions are always focused on fostering the best outcomes for his team. I believe that making the decision to terminate our city manager would have detrimental effects on our city's progress and disrupt the stability of our work environment, something we have faced too often in the past. Such a move would not only be disruptive, but would not benefit the city. Anonymous person. To Commissioner Petro, I am submitting this virtual comment because your remarks on Tuesday were deeply upsetting to me as a current employee who lived through the Lear era. Hearing that period referenced the way you presented it was not only inappropriate, it was disrespectful to many employees who experienced significant dysfunction and distress during that time. For those of us who worked under that administration, it was not a political talking point or a matter of opinion. It was a difficult chapter marked by instability, confusion, and a serious loss of trust in city leadership. Many employees witnessed actions and decisions that created a harmful work environment and violated the standards we expect from those in leadership roles. Regardless of what has been officially documented, the impact on staff was real and long-lasting. When you casually invoked that error in your comments, it disregarded the emotional strain employees endured and continue to carry. It reopened old wounds for many who worked hard to help the city recover and move forward. Instead of feeling supported, employees felt dismissed, minimalized, and re-traumatized by the way that period was used as a comparison during your discussion. If your intention is to advocate for employees, then you must consider how your words affect the very people you say you want to protect. Your position on the dais carries weight. Your statement influences morale. They shape whether employees feel respected or disregarded. The next time you bring forward an opinion in a public discussion, I ask you that you think about the employees who lived through that era and are still dealing with the aftermath of it. We deserve acknowledgement, understanding, and respect, not comments that cause unnecessary workplace distress by bringing up a period many of us are still trying to move past. Thank you. In person, I have Joan Morgan, followed by Pam Tokars.
I've been here for 53 years. I have been on so many boards, I can't even name them all, and I've been a city commissioner. And let me tell you something, folks, the sunshine law is a pain. You know that, okay? And some of the things you have to go by at times are disturbing. But let me tell you, I don't think I've ever seen a happier group of employees. Who are you talking to that's so afraid to talk and all this stuff? I'm not seeing that. And Punta Gorda, do you want me to list their problems? I mean, I'm sorry, they're not utopia, okay? Everyone's got their problems. I don't think I've seen a happier group of city employees. They love our city manager. And unity, you guys determine that. I told you how they hated me. Believe me, they did, because at the time, I was in my young 30s, and they were in their high 80s, some of them, okay? But let me tell you something, folks. I made them. I worked with them. That's your responsibility. That's your ability to do that, okay? And that's what you have to do. So you got to work a little harder at it. Go work harder at it. But you can talk to people. Just say to them, it's not a hostile area here. I am not seeing any hostility. I do have a problem with seeing on Facebook things like, I was glad I was at the post office and the commissioner was with me. Oh my gosh, that's sick, that's sad, that's not the way it should be. The picture, I told you, when I was in office, we had Marge Gentle, the mayor, smoking under a no smoking sign at City Hall. That was up for months and months and months, okay? Sadly, it didn't stop her from smoking, okay? But on the other hand, workplace stuff is workplace stuff. Not saying it's right. We had an apology. What's there to investigate? You're making a huge issue out of something that came out of a small issue, and now you want to add everything into the world about it. Folks, get together, unify. You are here for Northport. Don't tell me you're not here for Northport, because that's what you're here for, not for yourself. And if you're going to say, I can't go to meetings, I can't go to public events, I can't talk to people because I'm in such a hostile situation, you are not, okay? So start over, unify, realize what we have. We are third in the nation. Our slogan is achieve anything, and let me tell you something, here's where you can do it. Better than any place else. So end all of this stuff and let's move on, because yeah, we're making it look bad. And yes, we've had people who have wanted to get rid of our city manager since before he stepped into his office.
Thank you.
Hi, Pam Tokars. For the record, I'm only speaking for myself. I do not hate Mr. Fletcher. I probably do see the benefit of what he's doing for the city. I will voice my opinion when I see something that's just going to affect it that I don't like personally. And then the five of you are all entitled to your opinion. I think I know how this is going to go. It's going to go 3-2. However, we have to look at the optics of this. You've got the complaint, and if it goes through, just let it go through, because if he's found that he did not create a hostile work environment, then that's good for him. Then we can just move on and just get going. I don't support putting him on leave, because this is your last meeting. Well, Tuesday was the last meeting. before the holidays. So when we all know nothing gets done in the holidays anyway, so he still has to get ready for January. So that's the only thing is just consider following the process. The investigation goes through, and it determines whatever it's done. It's a independent investigation. I am concerned that if you do decide not to go with this investigation, how that looks to other city employees that might want to file a grievance or something, and they're just going to say, oh, well, nothing's going to happen, and then they just won't file the grievance. So that's my 2 cents. Thanks. Oh, and you also forgot, Commissioner Petro, the city of Sarasota, the commissioners are allowed to speak to the employees. I actually had a conversation with an employee from Sarasota. So there's another. Next.
John Rawlings and Peggy Burton.
I listen to you, and I've had you on my live stream, and I know there's some background there with trust with the government. I tend to agree with you on that. I was a little confused because I've now listened to you twice, and you double talk yourself a lot. And there's a lot of times where I want to tell you to stop because you say it, and then you don't say it, you unsay it. I've worked all my life, and I've been in charge in places. I've been in the service. Policies and procedures. You guys can't follow them. And you keep saying that you're going to, and I believe you, and then you tell me you're not going to. And it's in the same breath. So I want you to be careful because I like you. I think you're going to be, you can be good at this, okay? And I know you're new. David, this isn't a picture problem. This is I don't want to follow the rule problem. For somebody to be able to walk into an office and say, I've been after you for a year. How many of you had kids that you would go on for a year saying the same thing over and over again without some correction? You would get fired at your job, David, if you would have done this at your plant. It comes down to simple. And that's my problem right now is because I saw you work hard to get elected. I heard your stories. I know what you did to get in that seat. I'm not even questioning why you're there or what position you hold. I just can't believe you can follow structure because you can't. You did it for a whole year. You didn't follow policy and you didn't listen to the city manager. And as far as getting something corrected, this isn't the forum to do that. This is a side committee. Let's fix the policy. Let's look at it. And you've now blamed him twice, but he told you 2 days ago that he didn't write the policy. He didn't edit the policy. He adopted the policy from before he was here. He signed it. And you're making him accountable for everything. Nobody is unaccountable for any of it. But this is, I said it the other day, it's BS. You guys can't follow rules and regulations.
Thank you, sir.
Peggy Burton.
Good afternoon. I'm just your average citizen of Northport, and I've read a lot of people stating about don't ever go to the commissioner meetings because it never gets done, nothing ever gets done. It's always a 3-2 vote, and they don't listen. They're up there filing their nails and picking their ears and whatever. I'm embarrassed today to witness this commission. I'm embarrassed for the city manager. I'm embarrassed for Commissioner Duval. I'm embarrassed for Commissioner Petrol. Mrs. Langdon, you don't have to go talk to us about teeny tiny Facebook groups. You know, everybody knows what's going on in this city, and everyone is extremely disappointed in the way the city's being run. It's being run into the ground. There's money going all over the place, but nobody knows where it is. We've heard bids that have gotten passed by, and somebody's got a job that the bid didn't even go through, but they got selected for some other reason. They weren't allowed to bid the job because someone else had already got the job. There's a lot of crooked stuff going on around here. And this poster thing or picture thing, this is a distraction. It's a distraction because none of y'all can get along. And if you can't get along, what the hell are you going to do for us? Thank you.
Thank you. That's it. That's all the public comment. All right, we're going to be moving on, and I request a motion.
I'll give it a shot, Mayor.
Okay.
I move to not conduct an investigation regarding the complaint filed on December 8th, 2025.
I have a motion on the floor made by Vice Mayor to not conduct an investigation regarding the complaint filed on December 8th, 2025. Do I have a second?
Got a second.
Got a second from Commissioner Stokes. So once again, we have a motion on the floor made by Vice Mayor Langdon to move to not conduct an investigation regarding the complaint filed on December 8th, 2025, and that was seconded by Commissioner Stokes. Anything to that, commissioners? If not, please vote. And that passes 3-2. All right, that ends that. City Clerk, any other public comment?
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor. Does this vote preclude our needing to vote on the administrative leave?
Yes.
Yes.
Because the
Yes,
action
yes.
is actually the administrative leave.
Right, but it doesn't go into,
Okay, I just want that to be really clear.
it doesn't get used until the investigation, or if an investigation was done. That
That's
would
what
be
I would
part of
assume.
that phase.
That's what I would assume.
Yes. City Clerk, go ahead, I'm sorry. No public comment? It's 2:45, this meeting is adjourned.